3, 2, 1, 0. All engine running.
Whether you've been married 1 or 20 plus years, at some point, you realized you were married into crazy.
And that's what our podcast is all about. We offer love, laughter, and a dose of reality as we unpack this crazy thing called marriage.
So sit back, relax, and get your ear hustle on. It's time to start the conversation.
All right, let's go.
Welcome to episode 189 of the Married into Crazy podcast with Snooks and Lovey. I'm Lovey.
I'm Snooks.
And what?
We are almost at 200. Wow.
We're getting there.
Yeah.
We're getting there. That's technically, well, I won't even go into it. I mean, there's more than 189.
95 probably.
Yeah, just because in the beginning somebody made a mistake and didn't really number all of them like he was supposed to.
I don't hold it against you.
He that shall not be named, though she just named me. Anyway.
Really?
Welcome back. Hopefully you had a great weekend. For those of us that celebrate Resurrection Sunday or Easter Sunday, that's what it was this past weekend, and we had family over.
Yeah, we had a good time. It wasn't like the whole herd came, but
It was enough.
it was, yeah,
It was enough for the herd.
It was enough. It was fun though. It was just our siblings and my mom and
I knew she was going to go into a list. I just knew it was going to happen. I was going to tell her, I said keep it top line before we started. I was like, I'm not going to say we don't need a rundown of who was actually here. But I just knew it was going to happen. And then there it was.
Wow. Okay. We'll just leave it at that.
And there it was. It was siblings and family. I will say this, that it was nice to have the littles. There were quite a few kids that were over, and that was a lot of fun.
Oh my goodness. So our niece, Juanita, shout out. She has a little baby. Cleo is 7 months. And when I say Lovey held her the whole time that she was here yesterday, he held her the whole time. My mom says, I didn't even get a hold of baby. Ernest was over there hogging her. I said, I swear.
And I realized that I haven't held a baby since Isaiah.
Well, I mean, I don't know.
I mean, there's COVID and all that. I mean, but it's been 3 years.
Like any other babies that have been, I don't know.
I just miss. There was something about Cleo, just holding her.
She's just so precious.
Adorable. But anyway, that was a good time. And then the kids, we did a Easter egg hunt in the backyard, kind of an impromptu thing.
Yeah, a little makeshift for the littles, like you said. I even got out there.
Yeah, she did. She was
and
fighting
I was
the kid
like,
for the
no,
eggs.
I wasn't. I was like, I'm going to make it fun for him. And the older one, she was running. I was like, how many eggs you got? She's like, I'm not telling. And she took off running around the other side. So it was cute. It was cute.
And Snooks got ganked. One of them, little Nadia. I was like, I think she got some eggs over there for you. She ran over, snatched the eggs.
She put her hand out. I was like, anyway, find your own eggs. No.
She was like Debo. She walked up to him.
She did. Give me my egg.
Give me them eggs.
It was funny. It was funny. It was fun, though. It was a good time.
And it was nice because everybody got along, and that was just fun. But
everybody on my side of the family always gets along. So I don't know why he had to throw that in, but
no, I'm just saying it wasn't so many people where there could have generated drama, what have you.
It was a good space. Our son was here. He made an appearance. Kaylin is always working on the weekends, so it was good to see him. I'll take a picture of my family.
Is that all you want to say?
That.
Oh, I thought it was leading into something.
Wow.
She was like,
I'm good.
You know what it went to? It went to, and we took pictures, which is her favorite thing. But we've got an audience. They heard it.
Wow.
They heard, oh, my son came and I took some pictures.
I'm saying I took pictures of all of you guys.
I know, but look,
my
if you
whole
don't know by
tribe
now,
was here, so.
And when that whole tribe shows up, it is photo op time.
Well, I meant my tribe as far as my husband, my kids. Well, not the whole tribe because the granddaughters weren't here, but Isaiah was here, and we have fun. So I'm gonna stop talking about it because Lovey made me feel some kind of way. So
anyway, I just want everybody to know that 2 things happened. One, that it was going to happen. Number 1, Snooks talked about the list. She was going to give a rundown of everybody what they were.
But I didn't.
Because I stopped you. And there was the automatic photo shoot that always takes place. Hey, so here's what we wanted to talk about this week. Well, before we even go there.
I have nothing to say.
Look, see, she's going to do it the whole time. Uh, Please go over to Apple Podcasts and Spotify and go ahead and give us 5 stars. Go ahead and let a friend know, right? Put 5 on it. Let them know about it so we can increase the conversation. Let people know and participate when we're talking about marriage on all the different things. But also go over to I almost said MIC.com. Go over to marriedintocrazy.com and look at all the different things that are taking place. You can participate by participating in the question of the month that is there on the question of the month tab. You can leave your voice or go ahead and respond to it. We have some great responses as it stands right now that have been written in on social media, but we would also love to hear your voice. That's one aspect of the podcast that I don't know if you guys are shy or what the thing is, but we would love to get some other voices on here as well. We can make you famous.
So silly.
And then outside of that, you can also go ahead and book a discovery call so we can do some work together to really elevate your marriage, take it to the next level, whatever it is. And within the next month or two, we're going to have some big news. So that will be on that site as well. But those are the things you can actually do. So without further ado, I kind of want to get into this week's topic.
Go right ahead.
Have you ever heard of the Abilene Paradox?
Yeah.
Okay, that's it. Just yeah.
I mean, well, yeah, I have, but I never called it the Abilene Paradox. I didn't know it actually had a name to it. Like that was a thing. I mean, I know it's a thing, but I just, people be like, oh, I don't want to rock the boat. So
Exactly, rocking the boat.
Yeah, that's how I know it.
You know, it's funny. I didn't want to rock the boat yesterday because one of the cousins brought over some vegan turkey, but it was good. It was good.
Okay.
When she said, "Would you like to have some?" I didn't want to rock the boat. I was like, "Yeah, I'll take some. I'll cut a little piece." And then I ate it today, and it was actually kind of bomb. It was good.
First of all, she brought that at Christmas. Remember
I didn't eat it then.
I know, but I'm just saying she already knew when I was like, okay, what y'all gonna bring, whatever, and she said I'll bring some meat, and she did quotations, air quotes, and I was like, okay. Sidebar on her. I said, hey, what's the air stuff? I said, so you bringing some not meat? And she started laughing. She's like, yeah, I'm gonna bring a loaf, blah blah blah. I said, is this the one you brought at Christmas? She said, no, it's a different one. So she brought it, and at first she was like, I don't know who's gonna eat it, and I was like, just put it out on the counter anyway. And Ashanti actually really liked it a lot, and there was people that were trying it. So
I didn't try it yesterday, but today I did.
it just tastes like turkey.
It was good. I enjoyed it. But anyway, I was just saying that because I was kind of going along because I didn't want to hurt her feelings, and then it turns out that
Feelings wouldn't be hurt.
I actually liked it. And that's kind of what the Abilene Paradox is. So back in management development school, there was a program I went through, and one of the first things that we went over was the Abilene Paradox. But it's one of those things. It's not quite groupthink. It's one of those things. What?
Should you say what it is before? I mean, you want to say exactly what it is, or tell the story behind it?
Oh yeah, I should tell the story. Well, so here it is. So there's a story that goes along with to illustrate the Abilene Paradox. So there's a group of individuals that are on a farm, and they're hanging out for a moment. It's a hot day. They're in Texas, and it's hot. It's humid, and they're bored out of their minds. And so the father-in-law. So there's this couple that is newly married, but the father-in-law goes up to the group and says, "Hey, there's this great restaurant that's about 50, 60 miles away. I think we should go there and go check it out. Go have some food." And now these guys being newly married, the husband didn't really want to step on the new father-in-law's toes. So he was,
no, we ain't going nowhere.
right? Yeah, if he was a man, that's what he would have said.
Oh, good Lord.
No, but what he did was he was like, "Oh, you know what? It's not a bad idea." And he says, "I'd go if Mom wants to go." And so the mother-in-law hears it, and she's like, "Oh, I think that would be a great idea. Why don't we all get in the car and go? If my daughter's open to it." So of course the daughter's like, "You know what? That's a fantastic idea. Why don't we all just go in?" But the only challenge is there's no air conditioning in the car. They're like, "Okay, well, you know what? Let's just go and we'll just make a trip out of it and have some fun." Okay. So they get on the road to go to Abilene, Texas, in order to try out this restaurant that no one had ever been to before, but they had just heard about, and the father-in-law recommended. Well, remember, it's hot, it's humid, It's Texas.
And there's no air.
There's no air conditioning. So they get in the car. Do you remember getting in the car when it's really hot and your legs are sticking to the seat?
They burn.
And you're sweating on each other? And I know somebody in the car is kind of ripe. I'm just saying. It's hot, humid, musty, and it's Texas. So I'm sure that somebody.
You just going to add stuff in. Nowhere did it say anything about people being musty.
I'm throwing that in for a little flavor. But so they go, right? So they get on the road and they take that long, hot, humid, dusty drive. Did I mention that it was dusty because there's no air conditioning? They actually had to have the windows open. So as they're driving on these dusty roads, that dust is coming in. So you add that to the fact that they're sweating. They might have been a little tart. And then on top of that, there's, it's hot. The seat's sticking to you.
How long was the drive?
It was long enough. It was about a 60-mile drive. So you're looking at about let's call it about an hour and a half going there, just because of, the path that they took.
Okay.
So about an hour and a half going there. So they get to the restaurant and that drive was miserable. And as it turns out, the food at the restaurant was as miserable as the drive itself. So then they turn around and drive all the way back home. Mm-hmm. Still hot, still humid, even more ripe. and all in all, it was about a 3-hour drive.
Okay.
And then when they get to the house, they're like, well, that wasn't what I expected. And that's what the father-in-law said. And the husband goes like, yeah, I just wanted to go because, you guys, I thought you guys would like to go. And then the father-in-law's like, well, I only recommended it because everybody here looks so miserable and bored. It was better than just sitting around. Well, then the mother-in-law chimes in. She's like, well, I only agreed to go because, you guys look like, you were all in. And then the daughter says, you know what? Well, I only acted enthusiastic because I thought that's what you guys wanted to do. And I didn't want to be the one to rain on everybody's parade. Mm-hmm. So basically what ended up happening was these people took a drive that nobody wanted to take, went to a restaurant that nobody wanted to go to, and ultimately ate some food that
nobody liked.
So this trip took all that time out of their life. And what it came down to was nobody really enjoyed it, but they did it because they didn't want to upset or displease the other people that were there. And I tell you this story about the Abilene Paradox because I wonder, how often does that happen in our marriages? What do you want to eat?
Well, okay. So
I don't know. What?
No, I think it happens very frequently. I mean, we could use ourselves as examples. We always do.
Go ahead.
But no, I'm saying it happens a lot. I think you do that a lot.
How so?
Because I'll say something and I don't even, not even so much that I'm suggesting it. I may say something about something and then you're like, oh, well, I thought that's what you want. I'm like, I never said that. And oh, yeah, you said XYZ. I'm like, that doesn't mean I want it, blah, blah, blah. Because it's like you
talking about for food?
Well, not just food, but is it food all the time? It might be food all the time. I don't know. But I know that we've had discussions where you're like, well, I only did it because you wanted X, blah, 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 whatever. I'm like, no, I didn't. You're like, yeah, you said. I'm like, no, I did not.
Well, I can remember some instances where I had specific responses to people because I thought it's what you wanted me to say or not say for that matter. Well, why don't you speak up? Yeah, like, why don't you speak up? Why don't you say this to any other? Well, because, I figured you didn't want me to
There's that. Go ahead. I'm sorry. Mm-hmm.
So I figured you didn't want me to say anything because, it was your family or it was, whatever. Or it was a friend, it was something along those lines where, but the challenge is we throw out a response or we react a certain way in a manner in which isn't true to our nature, isn't true to how we feel, but we do it because we think that's what the other person wants us to respond like.
Mm-hmm. Yep, that's true. It's just like this podcast.
Oh, shots fired.
No, I'm being very, very, very honest. I don't mean like this topic. I mean,
this may be the last podcast, so listen closely.
No, when you first said something about it, I was like, okay, I guess, and that was it. Bam. And a lot of times when whatever we wanted to do, if you wanted to, oh, we got to do a live, or we got to do this, or we got to do that, I just be like, okay.
You just go along to get
I
along.
just go along to get along. Exactly.
Well, that's a challenge.
Well, I mean, I'm saying in the very beginning. Now I'd be like, bruh.
Right. Should we try and take the mic, start off the whole 9 yards?
No, or if I'm just like I'm just not feeling it. I mean,
You speak up.
No, I do, but I felt like it maybe a lot of some couples they feel like how I was feeling like it was I didn't want you to get upset, or I didn't want you to feel like I wasn't supportive, or you didn't want to I don't want to do the things that you want to do or whatever. I feel like there's a lot of reasons why, obviously people just go along to get along, because there's repercussions, or, some people are not mature enough to hear that they don't want to do what their partner wants to do. And they may fear like some, retaliation. All right, it's cool. As soon as you hear that, it's cool. It's cool.
It's
Because
cool.
I'm just waiting for an opportunity to pay it back when you want to do, and I'm just like, I don't want to do that. I mean, I'm not saying me,
Of course not.
That's jacked up.
You wouldn't do that. No, but you're right. I mean, it
I
sounds
wouldn't
like,
do that.
like our daughter is famous. Like, it's whatever.
Oh God, if she says that one more time, well, it's whatever. I'm like, it's not whatever, because you feel some kind of way about it. I'm gonna need you to stop,
Well, the difference being though with the paradox is that instead of saying it's whatever, you could recognize somebody's discontent. The Abilene Paradox shows up when people are like, oh yeah, okay. They show agreement. It's not really arguing. So here's the opposite end of it, right? There's two sides of every coin. You have conflict. Conflict can show up in one of two ways. The first way is showing up as if it's just an argument, a disagreement.
Mm-hmm.
The lesser known and less discussed side of the other coin is agreement, conflict because of agreement. And the Abilene Paradox is really a challenge when it comes to agreement. I'm agreeing even though I really don't want to. And I'm agreeing to avoid any type of further conflict. I'd rather have the internal conflict than have more.
Mm-hmm.
Why are you smiling?
Early on in our marriage.
Oh.
I mean, if I can be real and just be, when I didn't want to go over your mom's house or whatever, we had to go. And I was just like, you just go by yourself and take the kid. You're like, nope, we're going to all go. I mean, because I had said that at one time. And you're like, no, we're family. We're going to go together, blah, blah, blah. And so from that point on, whenever it was, oh, our presence was required, I'm like, oh, okay, cool. And I'm saying in my head, I'm spelling out the S word, because I don't want to go. And it wasn't just her house, but you know how I am about functions and things like that. I just, okay, it'll be fun. Yay. I'm like, I don't want to go. But I go.
Very true. Well, let's just be honest.
And then there are times where you're acting excited and I'm acting excited too. And then afterwards, we get in the car and we're just looking at each other. You're like, well, that was a wasted however many hours. I'm like, well, then why did we go? You're like, because you wanted to go. I'm like, no, I didn't want to go. I only said blah, blah, blah,
It happened. So how is this showing up in your life? So many times, those of you that are listening, hopefully we're illustrating and we're really pointing out, things in our life. Look, I can even say church. Look, I'm going to get in trouble on this one.
Look, I'm going to move. No.
No, not. It has nothing to do with my relationship with God, but it
No,
has
I
everything
know.
to do with the environment that
Mhm.
church became. And there are times like, I'll go. I don't really want to go, but I'll go. Okay, I'll go. I go, and
Mhm.
and the
That's
message
true.
is fine, but sometimes there was just the
family aspect.
challenge of, it was more familial than it was about God, about church, about the message.
Mhm. And if y'all got one of them families that I got, you know, they're about family first. Everything is second. And I don't mean that, and I'm not trying to dog anybody, but it's like, okay, we're in church. Can we be in church right now and
Right.
not?
Can we? Oh, look, right. Can we be at church? Can we get
Can
to the
you
point where
not
look,
give him his mail and have us all
right? That part.
pass
Or,
that back? I'm like,
or get an attitude because so and so didn't come over and speak. It's the middle of
it's
church.
the middle of church. I'm gonna need
Pastor's
you to
giving a
stop.
sermon. He ain't supposed to come over and give you a kiss.
Right.
So anyway, that's a whole other. See, we got. But going along to get along, I was like, okay, well, I'll continue to attend. I enjoyed the sermons and the service and the pastor, but there were times where it was like, okay,
Like you said,
we-
too familial or
Yep.
whatever.
I wanted to be that, but I went along. And so there's these things that show up in a variety of different ways in your relationship. It could be that. It could be food. It could be sex. Come on. Somebody. She got quiet. Where? It actually got to the point where, like, no, think about it, though. It's like, well, I want
Wow, really?
some people, look, some people sit there and be like, yeah, well, I did it just because, just, make sure you keep his mouth shut. Or, yeah, I gave her some because, I just didn't feel like hearing her mouth. She's going to think I'm doing something else or whatever. And it's like, wow, really? Okay. Those aren't even shots fired. I mean, that was like full on knife fight. I was like, man, you would hope to get shot
funny.
instead of cut up like they just got cut up. But,
Wow.
but I mean,
No, but I'm laughing. I'm laughing, but it is true. I mean, we've had conversations with individuals, and
and
not
mind you,
in a counseling setting.
right, I
It
was
was
gonna say, not
just
that
like
over the years.
No,
Over the
we're
years,
just having conversation in the backyard. I was like, okay,
This conversation just got real awkward. Yeah.
okay.
Yeah, oh, we've been at bowling alleys and we're just like hanging out. Okay, yeah. And all of a sudden, just, ooh, okay, this jumped off.
It's like, wow.
But it's
Yeah.
funny. But a lot of it, I think a lot of it can be traced back to agreement, not the disagreement. And I wonder if one is worse than the other.
Well, okay. So one, I feel like is so the disagreement is just a disagreement. It's you being honest and you're saying, I don't want to do that. And then and even if you get upset, well, why not? Blah, blah, blah. So we put it out there. I think the Abilene, whatever you call it,
Abilene Paradox.
I feel like that's worse. For me, I feel like it's worse because number one, you're not being honest. Number two, you're giving me a false sense of security about a certain situation, and I'm giving you the same thing because the paradox is neither one of us really wanted to do it, but we're not rocking the boat. We're not being real to have peace, but we're miserable, and that's going to show up in some kind of way down the line or whatever. Does that make
No,
sense?
it's right. It's like we're finding agreement in dishonesty.
Yeah, we're not being real. Keep it real, folks. That's what the R is for. Move. R. Real.
No, but it's the truth. I mean, think about that again. Let me slow that down. For those of you that didn't hear or you didn't get it, it's finding agreement in dishonesty. And that is not a foundation upon which your covenant is supposed to be built.
Mm-hmm.
And I can't say I'm being hypocritical, but I will say that we've done that. I mean, like Snook said, the first 4 years of our marriage, there was a lot of agreement found in the dishonesty of us trying to get along.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Let that sink in.
Say it again.
I don't remember exactly how I said it.
There was a lot of agreement found in disagreement because we were trying to get along.
And dishonesty.
And dishonesty. What did I say?
You said disagreement.
Okay, dishonesty.
Yeah, there was a lot of agreement found in dishonesty in order for us to get along.
So we were not being real.
Not at all. Not even close.
Being very fake.
So how many things, I'm not even going to say, do you? Because I'm pretty darn sure that there is something
Somewhere.
that you were dishonest about in order to find agreement to avoid further conflict. It might be something as simple as, yeah, your meatloaf tastes good. I look forward to your meatloaf. She's looking at me because she's like, what, you don't like my meatloaf?
I'm like, bro, wait till we get off of here. No.
No, because I do.
No, but okay, but I want to say the challenge. So how does it start in the first place? Because someone has to come up with someone has to say something to create the whole paradox in the first place. You know, like in the story, it was the father-in-law. He was like, "Oh, let's go do blah blah blah," because he assumed that they were bored.
Right.
So, but I'm like, how does that come about? You just look around and are you
Well, be honest in your
what
response.
drive you to be like, oh, I don't know, they're bored. I mean,
Well, that's just somebody trying to insert something. And it's that pregnant pause, right? It's that quietness. It's
the
that
awkward,
when people say they're putting something in the
a
air.
filler.
Yeah, filler, right? So he was looking for a filler. Well, I'm bored. They look bored, so let me just throw something out. We should go to a restaurant 60 miles away. I heard it was decent. He threw
So
something out, breaking the ice, and then the right thing to do is the husband then would have been like, I don't know, 60 miles away and the air conditioning is not working. Can we do something around here? Let's find something closer. Let's do something else. But that's a good idea. Let's think of something. Let's brainstorm instead of just going along. Because once that happened, you broke the seal and everybody else is like, yep, let's go do it.
or instead of saying everybody's bored, we gotta. How about be like, is everybody good? Y'all good? I mean, ask the question.
But then the common response is, yeah, I'm fine. And what does fine stand for? Feelings inside, never expressed. So the moment you say like, hey, are you guys doing all right? Yeah, I'm cool. I'm good.
Okay, you want to? I don't know.
No, I mean, this is just the example, but
Because I know, but I'm just trying to think though. It's like, um, I understand what you're saying, you know, because people be like, oh no, I'm fine. Most of the time, everybody gonna say I'm fine. So how do
they
you
got to be like
avoid?
Grandma Lula. No, I'm hot. Looking at you ain't helping matters. She would say something like that.
But how do you avoid that? You know,
You don't. Boredom's a part of it. Things happen.
or no, or
Or
not just about being bored. Sorry, but about feeling like you have to say something.
well,
It's
you can
not
say,
okay to be awkward or whatever.
but the challenge is, I mean, that's just what you have a challenge with it because you're a little bit more introverted. Me, I don't give a rip. I'll just like, hey, let's go do this. And they'll be like, nope. Okay, well,
I have a challenge with what?
with actually being more assertive and saying, hey, let's go do this or whatever, because you're like in that situation, I don't see you being like in the father-in-law's role.
Oh, probably not.
Where you would be like, oh, hey, she looks bored, he looks bored. Why don't we go do something like inserting something? You'll just keep it to yourself and be like, I'm gonna go sit in the shade and read a book.
Or I mean, I would see, but I would approach it like, is everybody good? Why y'all looking like that or whatever? That's
But that's one way to deal with it. But the other way is for the first respondent to just be honest and say, or somebody. All it took was one person to say, nah, I don't think that's a good idea. Even if it was the very last person, the wife, that finally said, nah, I don't know. Do we really want to get in a car and drive 60 miles to go to a restaurant that none of us have actually been to? It's hot. The roads are dusty. I need a shower, because she's looking at her husband like he stink, but she's going to take it on herself saying, yeah, and I need a shower, looking at him, knowing it's him that stinks, but she's fallen on the sword for the family. But she goes, I need a shower, and honestly, it's just hot. Can we find something else to do? All it takes is one person to sit there and get everybody out of that get along or go along to get along mentality. And in your relationship, all it takes is for one of you, because there's only two of you. So it's not like there's two other individuals that need to chime in. When your spouse says something that you're just not in agreement with, bite the bullet and say like, I'm not feeling that. I mean, I don't know why. If you don't know why, you don't know why. Just be honest though. I don't know why. That doesn't really sound appealing. And I'm not trying to, pee on your parade or be difficult, but let's come up. I like that you're trying to find something for us to do. Let's think about it for a sec. Let's figure something out that we would both really enjoy. And you never know. It can escalate. I can see somebody saying, see, every time I, say we want to do something, you don't want to do it. And it's like, no, it's not that. It's just that doesn't sound appealing to me. But I would love to hear some of your other ideas. Mm-hmm. Or it's like, okay, or you come up with your own. You can't be like everybody says, I'm hungry. What do you want to eat? I don't know. Okay, look, we've been driven by 15 I don't knows. You better pick one.
But then, I mean, at that point, the driver can just say, "This is where he's going."
And when I do, everybody gets mad. I'm just
See,
saying.
I
Now it
wasn't
got
making
personal. It got personal. It got personal right there. We go to Taco Bell every single time. I don't care what y'all say. No, but that's the thing. It's somebody has to stand up and say, "No, there's a challenge with that. I don't like that." Being honest, but seeking or finding agreement in dishonesty is a recipe for disaster.
I agree.
And that's what the Abilene Paradox is all about. I think it does show up in our marriages in more ways than one.
Well, I think that it. I mean, I agree with what you're saying, but it's like you do it once, and then you just stack. Then you begin to do it so much that you're almost like, you have this.
You set the precedent, and now if you don't go along, they're gonna be like, "Oh, well, why? You liked it all these other times."
Right. And then that opens up a whole, well, no, I never liked it. Well, what do you mean? So what else have you not liked, and why
Right.
asking these other questions? So
Which is why it's so important to do it early on. But even if you do have that negative habit stack, where it's like I've been stacking these habits, doing this over and over again, even though I don't like it, at some point you got to just bite the bullet and say, you know what? Let me just be honest with you. I never really liked it. I only said yes, or I only went along because I didn't want to hurt your feelings, because I love you so much, and I just want to see you happy. You got to be able to explain it and soften it up a little bit.
that just sounds patronizing.
No, it's
I know, because I just love you so much, and I just want you to be happy. I mean, even if it is true, but that just kind of sounds to me like,
I know what not to say to you.
because, well, I know you love me so much, and you want me to be happy,
Nope, I was patronizing.
unless it's about food and you just don't want it.
Look, I don't. Everybody's going to have a different feeling about this, I think, to a certain extent. But the bottom line is, if you're finding agreement in that dishonesty that we keep talking about, it's going to be a problem. It's going to be a problem no matter what. Either a problem up front, and you address it, and you figure out a pathway to get beyond it, or it's going to be a problem on the back end, and it's going to be a much bigger issue.
Well, yeah, because it all comes back to that one word, dishonesty. If anytime you are dishonest about something, I feel like this. If you're dishonest about something so small, you can't tell me the truth about it, then when the big things come, you're really gonna, that's just my philosophy. You're really gonna be untruthful. Don't do it to spare my feelings, because once I feel like I just didn't want to say anything to spare your feelings. Because, like I said, me in my head, now I'm be like, so what else did you lie to me
Right.
about?
See, you talked about real, the R. Well, the real is being honest up front. But then again, what happens is if you're not, then all you're doing is contributing to that false narrative that's going to start popping in. And the moment you do become real, like you said, now it's almost like, okay, well, what else? What about that time
I'm
I
gonna
did this?
question
And what about that?
everything.
Oh, what else don't you like? No, do you like what I wear? Have you been lying about that too? Am I? So you're saying I really am fat when I wear that shirt or that blouse or whatever? So what else? Yeah. And it can create this avalanche of what ifs. And the easiest way to avoid all that is to be slightly uncomfortable in the very beginning and just say, nah, Dad, that's a good idea, but we should probably think of something else. Maybe on another day when it's not so hot and when I get the air conditioning fixed in the car. I love the idea. It's just today might not be the right day for it. So let's figure something else out.
That's true. I mean, there's always a way to go about giving someone an answer, telling someone no. It doesn't have to be. It shouldn't be. It doesn't have to be a crux of anxiety, you know. And if it is, you're so afraid that they're gonna be, oh my God, they're gonna get so mad. That would be a relationship you may want to reevaluate.
Well, this is for, I mean, if you're single, that's one thing. But if you're married, and these are things you have to work through.
Well, that's true. But everybody doesn't have to be in your front row.
Explain.
I'm just saying, if I'm so worried about pleasing this person that I feel like I'm sacrificing little bits and pieces of myself, then if that's how we run in this relationship, father-in-law or no father-in-law.
Got you. Nope, I hear you. I thought you were talking about the spouses, like saying, like,
Oh,
well, you got to go.
no.
But you're talking about standing up to yeah, okay. And if it was the spouses, that's why I was looking at you, like, explain yourself.
Dang, okay, because I did see your shoulders go up a little bit. Like, what?
I was like, we got. No, but it was one of those things where I was gonna be like, okay, well, in that case, then you need to go see Snooks and Lovey and get some coaching. No, but I will say there is a paradox, though. I want to point this out.
Okay.
There's a paradox that sometimes it's not even with your spouse. There is an agreement within dishonesty that a lot of us have within ourselves, or we're trying to convince ourselves, oh, I don't need life insurance. Oh, it's too expensive. Or I don't know, I'll get it later on. Let me get better established. I'm telling you right now that all those things are those are things you shouldn't be saying to yourself, but a lot of us have done in the past, or we're doing currently right now. Take care of your family. And I always bring that up because we're going to talk about it on just about every one of these podcasts in some way, shape, or form, even if it's just in our show notes. You need to go to, yourfinancialfreedomfighter.com and have a conversation. See what it's going to take to make sure that your family is protected and taken care of if something drastic was to happen to one of you. I'll tell you right now, a great conversation I had on Friday, or was it Saturday? I think it was Saturday. Had a great conversation with my stepmother. As you all know, my father passed away 2 days after Christmas. And she was able to, Dad took care of her. And she called and we were talking, and she just kept talking about how, you know what, your father did such a good job in making sure that I'm taken care of, because she was concerned about how things were going to be done, early in the relationship. Like, what happens if something happens to one of us as they were getting older? But through life insurance and some of the moves that he made, he ensured that they're taken care of, or she's taken care of. And that's the ultimate form of love, that you don't have to stand under the tree that's providing shade for your family. There's going to come a time where that tree is planted, it'll grow, and the goal is that it shades your generation, it shades all those individuals that you love, even if you can't be there. Plant that seed so the tree will grow and provide shade for your spouse, your children, your grandchildren, and there's a variety of ways where it can actually do better for future generations as well. And so that's why I'm saying, please reach out to James Martin and click on that link in the show notes so you can at least find out, what would it take for me to plant a seed so that way I can put shade over my entire family.
Yep.
So think about that, but then also think about the Abilene Paradox. What are you saying right now to get along with your spouse? Because you just don't want to, you don't want to create some challenge. Is it just about, is it just the food? Going to Taco Bell when you really want to go to Burger King, but you don't want to cause a problem? Or is it Chick-fil-A? Or
is it eating out when there's food here?
Yep, like you really want to stay? Or is it just doing some other things? Going to visit, hanging out with certain friends. And maybe they're not your friends, but they're her friends or his friends. But you're going along with it, even though it makes you feel some kind of way because you're going along to get along. That's agreement in dishonesty that's going to cause a problem down the road. Give it some thought. If you have any thoughts or comments about this episode, feel free to go ahead and reach out to us at snooksandlovey@gmail.com, or you can reach out to coaching@marriedintocrazy.com. Feel free, or you can just go straight to our website at marriedintocrazy.com. On just about every one of our pages, there's a little button you can hit, and you can leave a voice recording. We would love to hear your feedback on this or any other episode that you've enjoyed and you wanted to add some commentary, because we will definitely share it with our listeners as well. So feel free to do that. Hey, you have anything else?
No.
Okay. So until the next time,
Be blessed.
bye.
Bye-bye.